This is Oft Off Topic, a show where two men with the attention spans of a squirrel try and fail to stay on topic with today's subject. Where will their oral meanderings take us? Well, stick around and listen, because today's Oft Off Topic is... Dragons Dogma 2, the new Capcom release from, a couple weeks ago now that people either love or hate, and I've played it, and I have opinions on it too. And we're going to talk about those opinions, and we'll give it a little review, talk about what a little controversy is, and, I'll maybe go over and see if the game is right for you, the listener, because there's kind of a right way and a wrong way to play this game, I feel like, and we'll go over that too. Nate, what do you know about Dragons Dogma 2?
I've only played one. I've only played like the first one. That's I really wanted to play it. I was looking forward to it when it came out and yada, yada, yada. And I took it home and I played it, and I played for like a little over an hour, and then I realized I hated my character, so I went back and redid it. Then I did it again, and then I realized I was hating my character again, because you gotta look at him all the time. And actually, I started playing them playing the first one again for this podcast, because I go have the second one, and I already hate my character. Well, and I really wish it's like the character itself looks fine, but I for some reason did war paint on her face, and now it just doesn't look good.
It's all cosmetics.
It's totally cosmetic. So.
I don't know. I would just ignore how my character looks usually, because right now I'm playing as rocking a little old lady, and sometimes the best armor I can afford for her are these kind of like thong-looking pants, and it's kind of disturbing. I mean, she's got a nice ass for an old lady, but when you actually know who it belongs to, it's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, I've run into that too. The best armor I have for my chick is basically a bikini.
Yep. I kind of had that. Well, I didn't have the same experience of Dragons Dogma, the first one, as you. I remember being really excited about it, picking up, playing it, and I was fine with the way my character looked. I just couldn't get into the way it played. I don't know. Something about it just didn't tingle my dingle properly back then. And I played it a little bit and was like, hey, this is kind of hard and clunky, and never went back to it, even though I always wanted to. But then I heard Dragons Dogma 2 is coming out, and I was like, well, I'll just wait for that. Yay! Instead of going back to a game I may or may not like.
Yeah, I don't know.
The first game was pretty hit or miss with people too. So,
it missed with me. I find that regrettable. I wish it wasn't missed for me. I just,
it just hurts so much deep down inside when something you want to love doesn't love you back.
Well, because I'm playing it right now, and it's just like, okay, where am I going? Seriously, where? And I know there has to be middle ground between Skyrim where they're like, go that way, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, the direction you're supposed to go. There is some mystery. Is there a mountain between you and that place? But still, there's go that way. And this has a circle on the map. I just found it difficult to kind of figure out which way I'm supposed to go. And, sometimes the instructions weren't very clear.
Yeah, they just kind of give you a general direction, be like, hey, northwest of here. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, and another thing that I know affected my enjoyment of the gameplay. It was just, I didn't really care too much about the story. The story really has to be like, ooh, and I don't know, for some reason it didn't grab me, so I'm missing some of the context in terms of here's these pawns. I'm like, well, what are they?
Yeah.
Why does it matter? What's going on with this dragon?
Those two reasons you brought up are kind of intertwined, and we'll get into that in a moment. But first, we'll go into a little bit of history on Dragons Dogma. You excited about that, Nate? Of course you are. All right, we go to the early 2000s, Tokyo, Japan. A man named Hideki Itsuno is working at his Capcom office trying to think of a new game idea. He's already been a director on such titles as Power Stone 1 and 2, and he's also pondering about the games he will eventually direct, Devils May Cry 2, 3, and 4. He struggles to think of a new game idea, and in an attempt to relax his mind, he opens the window blinds to his office. Outside, he witnesses a common sight in the Tokyo skyline, giant mechs fighting kaiju. Today's is especially a fancy one because Godzilla's even there fighting alongside everybody. And Mr. Itsuno watches these kaiju fight through the skyline, and all of a sudden he gets a sense of longing and an urge to get away from his stressful job. He wants nothing more to climb up Godzilla, making his way to the lizard god's ear, where he'd whisper into its ear, "Take me away from this, my scaly prince." And then the two would escape to Monster Island and raise their children in peace. This thought made Itsuno smile. It also got him to think, what if instead of climbing Godzilla to whisper sweet nothings in his ear, you climb up to his ear and stab him in it? And that'll be part of the gameplay, and thus, Dragon's Dogma idea was born. He actually came up with the idea in the early 2000s, but they didn't actually give him the okay to make it until 2012, or about 2010, I think. Finally get released in 2012.
Sounds more like Shadow of Colossus.
Kind of does. But actually, technically, he came up with the idea before Shadow of Colossus came out, so...
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So Shadow of Colossus kind of ripped him off now, didn't it? There we go. They just did it in a much more grand fashion. That's another game I never played, but I want to because everybody says it's so good, but I know I'll play it and be probably let down because it's been so overhyped.
Yeah, I know I'll hate it. I tried to play it once, got to the first big giant monster, climbed halfway up his leg, got kicked off, did that
And you're
like
just
four
like,
times, and then I'm like, fuck this game.
you're like, nope, nope. And then you start running with that never in your head. There's no way a tiny person could take down a big person.
Yeah, I do have a problem with that. Like, look,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, I told you were talking about earlier. Like, if a teeny tiny person attacked me with like the X-Acto knife blade, it would hurt. Absolutely, it would cut me, and I'd be like, but I can't imagine that.
Feet of
Okay,
Bruce
sure.
Lee flying around, kicking you in
if
the
it got
Achilles
me the
tail.
jugular, just so okay, it definitely could. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm thinking if I was ready, I saw it stand there. It's like, come get me, challenge. I'm pretty sure I'd be fine. I mean,
Present to you as evidence the Puppet Master movies. Remember that? Those little tiny puppets that are, about, 8 inches tall, taking down people.
as evidence for what?
The fact that tiny people can take down big people. You've seen those movies, haven't you? With the dude with the drill on his
Oh,
head.
forever
And, like,
ago.
the
I think I've
flames.
only seen one or two of them, but they were.
Boo. Lame.
I don't know. I call shenanigans.
Ha. Well, I guess they did have to work and team up together to take people down, but they killed many of people, Nathan. Plus, also
Yeah.
with that logic too, the Death Star would never have gotten blown up. Plucky little rebels would have no hope of taking down the big baddies. Why do you hate hopes and dreams with people, Nathan?
Hopes and dreams.
Yes, you hate hopes and dreams.
Because hopes and dreams are for suckers.
True that. Anyways, the next year after Dragon's Dogma comes out is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is released, and that gets better reviews and more critical acclaim than the original, which is kind of hit or miss with people, like we said. And I don't really remember what Dark Arisen came out with, but I believe it was just basically like all the patches and a little bit of DLC kind of rolled into one for an extra $10 off the release price, or on top of the release price. This game was released on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360s, Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. And on the PC, it became both Capcom's fastest selling and one of the 3 best selling PC titles in the company's history. Which, that's kind of impressive, I guess.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not that Capcom releases a ton of stuff on PC, but still, people buy their stuff no matter where it's at. As of September 2023, that game, between both the Dark Arisen and the original release, the game has sold 7.9 million copies total. Which sounds like a lot, but Pal World, which we covered before, did that in about a week. So
that stinks.
Yeah,
I know. I think I know it would bother me if I spent years of my life on a video game and I finally released it and it's like no one gives a shit.
For some reference, other games that have sold roughly 8 million copies, though: Star Wars Battlefront, Ghost of Tsushima, Bloodborne, and Infamous Second Son.
Yeah, saying a lot of those are really good.
They really are. But also, it took 11 years for them to sell 8 million copies, so that seems like a while, and a lot of Steam sales, I'm guessing. Because I do know there's one of those games on Steam that goes on sale for like $6 a lot.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it went on sale pretty cheap a few times, I noticed. These sales numbers would be enough for Capcom to give the go-ahead for our subject today, Dragon's Dogma 2. So, this game gets released, and first of all, people either really love it or really hate it, and some people are just like, hey, it didn't hit for me. I almost didn't get it because one of the podcasts I listened to, they're just flat out, everybody on that show is like, I don't know, it's just not hitting. I guess maybe if we stick with it longer, this or that. And I went online, and man, people are really hating on this game for the microtransactions. We'll get into that in just a moment, but
I like how you're like, people, they really loved it, they really hate it, or they were just mad about it.
See, this game is weird. It made people feel the whole range of emotions, Nathan. Everywhere from to Also, the whole range of emotions, my friend, and 3 sound effects. So as I was reading reviews and stuff, I almost didn't buy it, but then somebody brought up something, and this kind of goes to why you didn't really like and why we're not going to change your opinion, but make you go, Somebody brought up the point that the creator of this game, his name, Mr. Itsuno, close, Mr. Itsuno, he designed this original game and the second one. He wanted to be what's the term? Hold on. Oh, he wanted these games to be an isekai style game, or isekai. You know that isekai. There we go, Nathan. He wanted these to be isekai games. Nate, you want to explain what isekai is to the people out there?
Isekai is another world. Your hero or heroine is either transported, like they fall through a portal, as in they're summoned, or a lot of time, or reincarnated, whereas they die, and usually by truckun in one world, and they resurrect in that next world either as a baby or a lot of times they'll like come to when they're like 5, like so they skip all those years where they're immobile. It's
where they're shitting themselves and stuff like that.
right. I mean, sometimes they don't though. There are definitely ones where they start off as a baby, which I always kind of found creepy. Just like
I was
don't
a
know.
baby katana wielder. Wacha, wacha, wacha.
It just gets ridiculous, and so I mean, but it's all ridiculous. So it's kind of hard to say this is more ridiculous than something else. But anyway, a lot of times when they're isekai, they go in either. I mean, honestly, they have a wide spectrum of ways they deal with it. Either they go there and they're super powered and they get their harem, etc. Or sometimes in the darker ones, they show up and they've got no powers. They're totally, basically trying to live in the hostile world. Those were pretty interesting as well. I kind of like, I don't know, I like isekai.
That latter one is kind of what this game's supposed to be like, because for the isekai, a lot of the subject of those is, they wind up in a world that they have no idea what's going on and they got to learn along with you. That's the way these games are supposed to be. They want you literally to be dropped into a world with no idea what's going on, no idea on the story, no backstory. They don't want you to know what pawns are. You're supposed to figure that out as the game goes on. You're literally supposed to be as dumb in this game as you feel when you first start playing it. So yeah, when you see, and also that same thing was like the quests, because I don't remember the first one, but they don't really have quest markers on where to go to talk to people in quests, right? It's like
I mean, if you look at the map, there's like a circle, like someone drew a circle on the map,
like a colored circle where it's sort of like somewhere in here there's quests,
but it's still not super like descriptive of what you're supposed to be doing.
That's kind of what this one does. This one's almost even less than that at the very start, because basically you go into a town and there's no quest markers, no nothing in there. You have to wander around until somebody like flags you down. It's like, hey, you look like an adventurer, or you just overhear people talking in a group. You are designed to have to go seek those quests out, not just have like people run up to me and be like, here, I'm a quest giver, blah, blah, blah. Here, take these.
You're standing around with your friends and like, oh, what happened? And you're like, okay, I didn't want to go to that party. What do I make? Oh yeah, my mother got lost in the woods, and we were trying to find her. And some random adventurer walks by, is like, your mother's lost in the woods. You're like, no, wait, no, it's fine.
I'll save her.
She's gone on time. I'll be back. Shit.
And he like runs off into the woods with no description of her or nothing, and you just hear screaming a few minutes later.
She's coming back like, I got her. I'm like, God damn.
That's not my grandmother, damn it. That's a goblin. He's like, he's like,
leave me alone.
He keeps following me around, saying forsooth and asking if I need stuff done. But that's also kind of why the quests don't really give you much other than just like a little circle, because hey, to the northwest of here is where this caravan was headed. Go find it. And sometimes they won't even really give you much of a quest marker other than just like you said, a little like circle, or sometimes not even that much, which does kind of make it a pain in the butt, but it does make it slightly more realistic and does force you to get off your butt and do stuff, because sometimes like Fallout and Skyrim, they literally do just have people run up to you nonstop and, hit you up with quests.
Leave me alone.
Yes, exactly.
Goddamn quest.
Yeah, and then that one blonde dude who just follows you around constantly.
I'll kill you. I'll kill your family.
Oh yeah, as far as the pawns and stuff that you're talking about, how, you don't really know what they are. They're kind of cool in this world. Because, see, pawns, basically, you just kind of summon them and they go off and fight for you and die. They basically know that's their role in this world. So they don't know where they come from, but basically think of pawns as people like you and me just sitting around in another reality, and every once in a while your number comes up and they're like, hey, go to this extra world and go fight until you die, and then you can come back to this world. And they just like show up in this world, fight until they die, and then go back to their original world. And because of that, they have no fear of death, because they know if they die, it's no biggie. They just go back to their previous life. Which kind of sounds like a sweet gig for a pawn. You know what I mean? Get to go on adventures and not worry about dying.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's still painful to get stabbed to death and stuff, and doesn't really cover up the thought of if you're stuck in a cage or whatever. Well, I guess you could kill yourself, maybe.
I mean, or just slowly, like, I don't know, someone catches you and just begins eating you alive.
Very slowly. Like one of those praying mantises just like grabs you and starts pulling off little chunks of you, little bits here.
I was thinking more of a Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, that would work too. One thing that also this game is kind of hardcore, at least to one of the problems people had, is fast travel is totally different in this than most games. In fact, closest I can compare fast travel is to Morrowind, where Morrowind, basically you had to hop on either a boat or like silt striders to get from place A to point B. I don't know if you ever played Morrowind, did you?
Oh, dude.
So long ago.
I played a little bit. I actually didn't like it because I didn't really know what was going on, whatever. And I come to like those type of games later.
Much like Dragons Dogma.
Well, I come to like those type of games later. Oblivion was what did it for me. Like, I don't know, for some reason the magic thing was,
Yeah, Oblivion was the first
really...
one that was slightly less hardcore than the previous ones. It was one of the more accessible ones to come out of that genre. Because yeah, before that they were all kind of hardcore, especially going back to like the 1980s ones and the 1990s ones. Some of those were, permadeath.
Someone tattooed a quest on a sheep they didn't shear. You must
Ha!
go out in this field of hundreds of sheep and
Ha!
find the one sheep that
You sheared a sheep. You sheared another sheep. Your shears are broken.
Oh my
Go
God.
find another sheep.
Oh my God, I can totally see them doing that too.
Right?
You,
You sheared two sheep, it's like breaks. Sheep. Then you gotta go on another quest to go rebuild your shears again over and over again.
If you do it too slowly, like the sheep will grow their hair back,
or
their whatever back, and it's like they're like the people are like trying to say, it's, oh no, they show real time, the sun and weather and stuff, and by the way, hair grows. It's like, God.
And it's standard old game.
Shear all these stupid sheep.
And in standard old game FU fashion, there's like 10 sheep, but there's only 8 pairs of shears you can use. So if you mess up, you never get to finish the game. That's always a bummer in those games where it's like, oh, you remember that item you didn't grab in chapter 1? Well, you can't finish the game now. Enjoy.
I mean, at least that's better than, oh man, I can't remember the game, but it was a Terry Pratchett game. And the way they did it was, at the very beginning of the game, there was a chest. If you open the chest, you were permanently blocked from ever like fully completing the game. Like there's no warning or nothing. But there was a chest that if you opened it, there was nothing you could do to beat the game in a good way.
Probably the only clue you had was somewhere in the booklet for that game on the last page was like, oh, and don't open the chest. And they expected you to catch that. Because, yeah, them old games. Actually, when we release the 9, The Last Resort, we'll talk more about those style of games. But anyways, the fast travel, it's not like normal games, because nowadays in Skyrim and such and Fallout, you can just sort of like click on something and just go wherever, whenever you want, if you've ever been there before. Or sometimes even people can just tell you about a place and then you can click on it and go there. Mm-hmm. Well, none of that in Dragons Dogma 2, possibly part 1 too, part 1 as well. In order to get from town to town, you basically have to ride on ox carts. You have to walk up to somebody and be like, hey, I'm going to pay you $200, and then hop in their ox cart, and then you get to take a nap while your ox cart drives you from town to town. And also, too, sometimes you'll get attacked in the middle of your little ox cart ride, which can be fun. Right up until your ox cart gets destroyed in the battle, and then you're screwed and have to walk the rest of the way.
Then you wake up like, ah.
But then the other part of the fast travel is there are these things called void stones, I believe is what they're called. And I've only come across one of these in like one of the major cities, so there's obviously not a ton of them around. And those ones you can use fairy stones to actually teleport to, poof, poof, whenever you want. However, fairy stones are very expensive and hard to come by at the very start of the game. But somebody noticed that in the microtransaction store, you can actually buy one of those little void stones to plop down wherever you want on the map to teleport to. And people assumed that this meant that you have to pay to fast travel. Like literally, they're just like, you have to pay to fast travel to do any fast traveling. And apparently people didn't bother to try playing the game and verifying that. And boy, that lie just spread like wildfire. And all over the internet, you can get people still talking about the fact that Dragons Dogma 2, first game where you have to pay to fast travel. And
I think I heard about that.
What's that?
I think I did hear about that.
Yeah, a lot of people very angry about that. And they're all very, very wrong. Because the thing is, you can buy one void stone, which really doesn't help you at all. I found one void stone on my own. Okay, there's 5 void stones in the game, and the one you can buy makes it a total of 6 you can have. So that shows you how much it helps you. Not a whole lot. Yeah, I don't even know where you get the rest of them either, because I'm not very far in the game, to be honest, because I've been thoroughly enjoying just wandering around, going on adventures on my own without doing quests. So I've been doing a lot of side stuff and not the main stories, which means that I'm significantly stronger than I should be for the storylines when I get missions when I get to them. It's like, hey, yeah, it's like, hey, go beat these goblins, and I'm like, oh god, oh wait, I just like looked at them and they all died, because yeah, it's like, well, this is like, if I was level 12, I would probably have had trouble with this, but I'm level 35 now, so ha 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 ha.
Or it's worse, you start going down, like you actually take the quest, you start doing the quest. Then, like, because it's hardwired into the mission, the tutorials are popping up. Like, okay, hit
stuff you learned hours ago.
God, I'm level 50. I don't need
you
don't need to tell me about this.
I've had that happen on several games before. Yes, doesn't the game realize I've been doing this all along? Stop teaching me stuff I already know. But I do like this fast travel method because it does, since it's limited items, it does make you actually get out and adventure. And they wanted to make it hard to fast travel so you adventure, because they actually built a pretty interesting world here with all sorts of little side paths and missions and stuff you can just come across randomly. Like if you look at the map, there's tons of like main roads all over you can go on. Those are the ones the ox carts travel on and bandits do. But there's tons of little side roads. If you actually start following those, they usually lead to a little cave, or they're very layered, and all of a sudden the path will look like it just goes a little way out, but all of a sudden it spirals up a tree or goes way down a little hole and leads you on a big old adventure. Kind of like how Elden Ring did that. You played Elden Ring, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't beat
it. You got it. But yeah, you remember how Elden Ring is like, hey, this seems like a simple adventure, and then all of a sudden it just kind of branches out into this huge area. They do that kind of in this game. Yeah, makes it enjoyable. And also you can come across fun stuff too. One thing I really like in games, this one does it well, is when you just come across a group of monsters fighting on their own. Nothing you did. Also, you come around a corner, there's just like a cyclops fighting a big old group of goblins, whomping their butts.
I do like that.
Yeah.
And reward them.
Yep. And it just adds some life and some texture to the world. Another thing too, there's as you're walking around, occasionally you'll see like a giant shadow just pass underneath you, like a giant bird flying overhead. Probably a griffin, I would guess. Downside is though, every time I look up, I don't see anything, so that's kind of lame. Yeah, I'm like, I don't see it. I mean, maybe I'm just looking in the wrong direction or something, but those griffins, they will hunt you down and plop on top of you at the drop of a hat. Which, it's kind of a bummer too, when you're like fighting a cyclops or a troll and you're almost about to win, all of a sudden a griffin just decides to show up and steals your kill and then goes after you. Yeah. So people with the whole pay to fast travel thing decided it's a good time to go review bomb that game on Steam. So Dragons Dogma 2, if you go look at the reviews, some places like user reviews, it's almost all 5s or 1s. And pretty much all the ones are complaining about monetization of fast travel. But there are some legitimate ones. Like I guess the frame rate on the PC version is really bad at times, depending on your hardware. Like even if you have a super high-end computer, it's pretty chuggy and But
that's a legitimate complaint.
It is a legitimate complaint. That one I'm fine with people complaining about. However, I'm a dirty console peasant, so I don't have to worry about such things. I get what I get. I don't get any upgrades or nothing.
No upgrades for you.
No upgrades for me, other than a hard drive maybe. You want to hear one of the dumber controversies that I hear people? Well, not really controversy, but I have seen a lot of people complain about this.
Uh-oh.
This scream. So if you're running around in a group and it's all guys in your group, all your partners are guys, because you can have up to 3 party members. Your guys have all sorts of like idle chatter and stuff. And if you have a group of all men, one of your dudes will eventually say, I can't help but notice that this traveling companions are all male. Does that speak something to your preferences? Which, man, holy fragile masculinity. That sends some people online into a tizzy. Oh, God, they will just lose their mind over that one. Because, they're just assuming they're being called gay by a woke game.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, it's basically literally all on how you take that comment, too. Also, I'm playing as a female, and they say the exact same thing. Are they trying to say I'm a slut?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This little old lady has nothing but men around her. Burly cat men. Which is what I do, because I'm trying to roleplay like a crazy cat lady, so all my partners are cats.
Oh.
Yeah, because when you get one partner you can create, and then you get to hire 2 more. And the cool thing is, too, the partners you can hire are other partners that people have made, too. So, like, if you were playing the game, I could hire your partner and take him on adventures with me.
Don't you dare touch my partner.
Yeah. Even better, though, after I send your partner back to you, he'll actually have the information that he gathered with me. Like, he'll know where treasure chests were that I found with him and stuff. So, like, if you load it up, so if you load up your game and your partner will all of a sudden randomly be like, oh, I was here with another person here before. Let me show you a treasure chest. And you can hit this, like, up on the D-pad and it tells them to go do what they're going to do. And they'll lead you on this little roundabout path and be like, hey, look, there's a treasure chest, and point it straight at you. That is also something else the partners can do that makes the whole questing thing a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. When you hire a partner, when you hire one of the pawns, there's an option for, quest giver or quest assistance, and it'll say yes or no. If it says yes, they're able to help you with whatever quest that you have as your priority because they've already done it before. So all you have to do is be like, the partner will be like, hey, I know this quest. Do you want me to show you what to do? And if you hit yes, they will literally just like take you step by step through the entire thing. Be like, come here, talk to this guy. Come here, talk to that guy. Follow me. Which is kind of cool because it's sort of like an easy way out if you don't want to try to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And also you can hire partners that don't do that in case you don't want to have the story ruined. Because sometimes there are times where it's like, ooh, I'm trying to figure this out on my own. All of a sudden your partner's like, I know. As they're just like hopping around.
Like, shut up. I want to figure this out myself.
I want to be a big boy. Yeah, I want to do this on my own. I'm a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes the idle chatter your guys have can get a little tedious because they'll repeat stuff over and over again. Kind of. But
I mean,
also,
I get it. There's only so many.
yeah, there's only
variations
so
you
many
can do.
comments you can say. And since people get offended by a good third of them, it feels like. Yeah. The only other real thing you can buy in the microtransactions people talk about is cosmetics, which, I don't know, that doesn't really bug me when you buy cosmetics in a game because, I don't really do cosmetics anyways because, I don't know.
I'm fine. Honestly, I'm fine with cosmetics. You know, if you want to spend a little bit extra money and make your character look badass, then do it.
Yeah, you
I
want to
mean,
make your guy look like Darth Vader? Do it.
yeah, and on a single player game, even if you want to, okay, here's this god tier win axe and armor. Who cares? If you're playing single player, who cares? Now, if you're playing like multiplayer, then it starts getting like, okay, then just do something
When it starts
that makes
affecting other
that
people.
looks cool. Yeah, it looks cool, and maybe even it's a minimal buff. People still complain about that, but just like I don't know if it looks cool, that's fine. But if it's like a win button, then I start having problems.
As people say with this, though, even with the single player, it's a slippery slope, Nathan, because what's to stop them from hiding the best axe behind a paywall, period? Like, you can't even find it in the game.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like it is, I understand the slippery slope, but it's still like, where's the line? Well, you know the line when you hit it. You know, I might not be able to say, like, oh yeah, this is the line that shan't be crossed. No,
some people say that was the original horse armor, Nathan. That was the line that was crossed. The horse armor. Remember the horse armor controversy?
Wasn't that cosmetic?
It doubled your horse's hit points.
But who fucking cares? I mean, like, I'm sorry.
People who complain about it care.
I know. They care. They absolutely care.
They care a lot.
It's the horse. I can understand more complaints if it was a matter of like your character, but come on, your horse isn't the main character. I mean, the horse, if anything, is a narc. You know, like, hey, I was trying to pick this lock and I got caught by the horse because apparently it saw me and told the town sheriff. Now everyone's dead.
Mr. Edo's a goody two shoes.
Man, Mr. Ed can eat a dick. He ratted me out for no reason.
Two things about Dragons Dogma 2. One, I kind of like the fact there's no stealing. If you see something, you can take it and nobody cares. Which I like the stealing in games, but sometimes I can get too wrapped up in stealing stuff, or even worse, when you accidentally steal something and the whole world goes against you.
That accidental stealing something, especially if you accidentally steal something that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I actually stole a plate from this dude.
I was just about to say a plate, literally about to say a plate. Like, you know, I'm trying to pick up, you know, the legitimate thing that's mine on the table, and then I accidentally grab the plate. Next thing you know, every guard is coming after me. So.
Yep, because I actually dropped my battle axe on somebody's dinner table and I couldn't pick up something accurately.
I mean, do we have to do this? I mean, we all know that I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, exactly. If I was going to steal something, you would know it because it'd be gone. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The frame rates in Dragons Dogma 2 as well. Some people realize, too, if you want to up your frame rates in it, you can just go through and just kill all the NPCs. So people would, before they play, would go through and just like slaughter everybody into town and then go about their adventuring. Because apparently it did help your frame rates. Yeah, that actually sounds kind of fun. I guess you can actually go around and like wipe out entire towns in this game too, and I think it's like after a week of in-game sleeping or something, they all come back. So, could be something fun to do. Yeah, it's kind of fun to go around and murder everybody once in a while in a town in a game you're not supposed to.
Like quick save.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. The most terrifying thing for a guard to see in town. Oh, the hero just quick saved.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Oh no,
a guard like I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, if I was walking along, I saw someone like suddenly pull up a giant menu and it said quick save on there, I would run like a crazy person. Like, first of all, I'm probably going crazy anyway because I'm seeing a giant menu pop out of nowhere, but still know what that meant.
Oh my god, the Neuralink has gone active. I can see augmented reality now. Thing I will say about the game, weight limits is a pain in the total butt. Also, it turns out I just learned last night that your storage in your little base also has a limit, which is also a pain in the butt that I don't understand. If I want to be able to hoard stuff in a game, damn it, let me hoard it.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah. I can see it in some things like an online game or whatever where, you know, digital storage space costs money, sort of ish. But yeah,
Dragons Dogma dropped the ball.
It did. How dare it? But anyways, the game, very enjoyable. I do thoroughly like it. It's just you have to understand that, yeah, you're supposed to be plopped in this world and not know what's going on and just kind of figure out as you go. Because I've been playing for about 35 hours and I still really don't know what the plot is. Other than I had a dragon rip my heart out. I woke up in this world and there's another guy kind of like me who might be the king and might not be. Or it might be me.
It might be you.
I really don't know. It might be me. Well, it's weird because they're like, oh, the Arisen. There's another one. Oh, but why is there two? There should only be one. The one that we have is king, blah, blah, blah. Could you be the true Arisen? But then later in the game, you just find Arisen wandering around and you're like, hey, aren't you guys supposed to be like the chosen ones? They're like, that's what they say, but that seems like a pain in the butt, so I'm just a farmer. It's like, oh, okay.
I was going to do that, but then I realized
I really didn't want to. I realized, no, I think I would rather just be a farmer with my cat wife.
And you know what? Fair enough. You know, I'm happy for them. They found they found the true meaning.
It'd be like marrying into the British royal family. It's for some people, but for others, not so much.
Right.
Because honestly, that seems awful. No privacy, bunch of assholes around you all the time. Rampant racism, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's the British monarchy. They didn't exactly like, you know, they said, oh yeah, the sun never sat in the British Empire. There's a reason for that.
Ha. Well, at least the British people will all die out now that the Queen's not around to lay eggs anymore. I'm not sure what happens after that. Doesn't like one of them fly off and start a new colony somewhere? Anyways,
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I did have one fun encounter last night while I was playing Dragon Dogma 2. I was wandering around just looking for adventure, and all of a sudden I heard what sounded like grumbling or snoring kind of, and I wandered off into the bushes, and there was a giant cyclops just laying there asleep, not hurting a damn person in the world, just enjoying the sunbeam and life itself. And I was like, hey, look, free experience points. So me and my 4 guys just jumped on him and killed him within a few seconds, and I realized that must be awful for that poor cyclops. It'd like the equivalent of us just like laying there relaxing, enjoying the sun, like 4 bobcats jumping on us at once.
Why? Like, I didn't do anything.
Nope, he did not do a damn thing. He was just laying there minding his own business, just relaxing and enjoying life. And then I just walk up just like, So yeah, I'm kind of the baddie in that one, I think. I might be the baddie overall in the game because I do go out of my way to murder people sometimes. Another fun thing they could do is pawns, because you can hire pawns. They're also everywhere. They wander around the main paths all the time. So if you come across, like, you're wandering our path and all of a sudden there's like a bunch of trolls up ahead that you don't want to fight, you can actually just wait on that path long enough. Eventually pawns will just or merchants will wander by and go fight them for you, which is kind of fun. Yeah, then you just sit there and watch them fight, and whoever comes out the winner, you get to take them on next. And their weekend, you get to crush them. So far, with Dragon Dogma 2, it's doing pretty good on the sales, though. 10 days, 2.5 million sales. That is not bad.
Not bad.
This means already sold a third of many as the original game. And the series is now over 10 million sales. Woo! Which I believe means it gets a toaster for that celebration.
Toaster.
A toaster, yes. For 10 million sales, you get a toaster. For 30 million sales, you get a brooch or shirt pin or something like that.
Whatever that thing is that you're supposed to stick on your date to prom.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, corsage. Haha.
Yeah, corsage.
Yeah. How did I know that? I never even went to prom.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I know they got to be refrigerated, so there's that.
You only know that because you saw them at like the store.
Yeah, exactly. Or I saw.
That's how I do.
Yeah, I think I saw it on a movie once too, or something like that. I'm like, why is that flour refrigerated, Paul? You don't refrigerate flour, you refrigerate milk. That's how that goes, by the way.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah, that's a conversation from my childhood. Why they got that flour in the fridge, Paul?
Dag nabbit, boy.
Dag nabbit, boy, stop talking. There needs to be seen, not heard. Now go find me some firewood. Here, roll me some cigarettes. Make yourself useful. You know, one thing I've also noticed too, constantly on reviews of this, people love to hammer home the fact that this game is $70. They like to hammer home that all games are $70 nowadays.
Oh my god!
Always $70. Honestly, they're still cheaper now than they've probably ever been in the world, if you think about it. Because
I remember I bought a $70 game for the 64. It was the WCW versus NWO. That cost me $70.
Phantasy Star 4 is $90 on the Genesis.
Just a minute, my dogs are freaking out. And clearly, I'm going insane.
Are you?
Okay, I'm like heard what I thought was Violet, her high pitched yip, like let me in. So I get up and go out there. They're both just laying there. So they either like freaked out and just now settled back down, or I'm going nuts.
Oh, anyways, nowadays a modern Call of Duty game, has over 100 people working on it in development and stuff, and those games are, $60-$70. The original Super Mario Brothers had 5 people working on the staff, and that was $50 when released. So, which one seems more expensive now?
And that's
But yeah, you think about
that's
all
not
those
$50
old.
adjusted. That's $50 as it was back then, right?
That was back then. So for adjusted, well, I mean, you could buy like a house and a yacht for fucking $50 from the '80s. Pretty sure. What is? Let's see.
To the Googles.
Yep,
Uh,
$39 from 1985 to now. So because yeah, I mean, the original NES and Genesis games, you watch the credits on there, it's like a couple dozen people at most. You watch like Witcher 3 and the credits go by; those credits go by for like 45 minutes before they're over, Nate. I mean, I'm not saying I like $70 games, but I understand why they cost that much. They're not cheap to make.
well, I got one that says Super Mario 3 cost $50 in 1990, adjusted for inflation. That's $120 for today.
Okay, I did 1985 for Super Mario 1 was my thought.
Well, I just typed in Super Mario Bros. And that was the first thing that popped up.
Oh.
That's why I'm agreeing with you, but also saying like, oh yeah, here was 3 in the 90s. Money, it increases value.
Yeah, it does. Imagine that.
And sometimes it doesn't.
Let's see. Super Mario Bros. 3. It says took a staff of over 10 people was also.
Well,
20 to 20. I know, right? Staff of more than 10 people. It's like, well, that's yeah.
It tells me nothing.
Dragons Dogma 2 had a staff of more than 10 people as well.
Yeah, it sure did.
So
was it 11 or 136?
yeah, right. Yeah, the numbers above 10 are pretty vast.
You'd almost say it was never ending.
Exactly. Never ending story.
That movie is so messed up.
Yeah. Also, it was just a lie, too, because, I mean, that story did end.
Well, not only did it end, but also, I mean, I guess at the end of it, did he kill those bullies? And also, like, was everything real then? Like, because it was like, oh, it wasn't a book, but wasn't in a book, and there was some kind of crossover and a little bit isekai stuff yourself. But, like,
I just assumed the whole story was a child having a nervous breakdown, and none of that really happened.
So when Falcor at the end came and started like scaring all the kids, it was actually him with a gun.
Yes, exactly. And the whole adventure they had was him in his mind while he's getting molested by that bookstore owner. He was just going to his happy place.
He just closed his eyes, like looked off in the distance.
Artax sinking into the mud was something else happening in real life. You. I don't even know where I was going with that, but you.
Let me say, this is not an off topic fact. This is just Sean being sick fuck.
It is what I do well. Oh, by the way, fun video game news. Apparently, a new poll says that Lara Croft is the most iconic video game character.
Who?
Lara Croft.
There you go. I was like, Lara Croft? Is this
Lara Croft.
This is a new spinoff? Like, you heard of Lara Croft. She was raiding dungeons. Now Lara Croft. She'll sit there and make a wicker basket.
She's a macaroni noodle.
It's the most base. She is the world's greatest macaroni noodle artist.
Craft with a K.
People come from all over to witness her creations. Behold the Eiffel Tower in macaroni.
And it's life-sized.
Yes, it's life-sized in France. And somehow was able to hide it from everybody before it was released.
And then the rains came and you just wound up with a big soggy noodle.
Oh my god. The rain came and she just like looks at the rain, looks at the macaroni as it's slowly like falling apart. She was like looks at the camera and then she puts the gun to her mouth and blows it out. That was my life's work.
Cheese sauce splatters all over the building behind her because the blood is just macaroni cheese sauce now. So it was the British Academy Film Awards, pulled 4,000 gamers for the top character in video games, and Lara Croft won. She beat out Sonic and Mario. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know. Like, I did not have a PlayStation until later, so
people only like her because of the boobs. That's literally it.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't know. Like, she's fine. But yeah, there's a lot more iconic video game type people than Lara Croft.
Also, Tomb Raider Lara Croft kind of got sullied for me way back when, because when Tomb Raider 1 first came out, I was at this dollar store, or not dollar store, but thrift store, and the dude, like the mid-50s dude, started talking about Tomb Raider, and then he got really weird and pervy talking about how hot Lara Croft was and how much he loved watching her walk around and those tits she had. You know, one of those where he's like, he's getting like way too much description, getting like all sweaty on the brow and weird about it, and it's kind of uncomfortable.
But I mean, it was polygons, like big polygons too. It wasn't. I mean, it was.
We didn't have much back then in the video game
No,
world,
we
dude.
didn't.
It's
No, we
either
didn't.
that or pixelated, really bad digital art that was scanned.
I mean, here I am about to get on my high horse. Go, oh, you poor. No, I was into it too. I mean, I'm not saying I wasn't.
Yeah, don't
Just,
like we all look. It was bad, but we all did look and go like, huh, that's not a fat little Italian plumber.
No, I mean, I was a straight headed, straight boy. I just that's not. Nothing's really wrong with the other thing. Just that was my thing. That's my area of appreciation. And so I definitely noticed, but yeah, I never was like. Now once
like
you
the
started
games.
getting more polygons on her, then we start talking. But the original PS1 Lara Croft was kind of a
Need to go
big
from
boob
pyramid
monstrosity.
boobs to need to go from pyramid boobs to football boobs kind of thing. A little more
Right.
rounding out. A little more rounding out. Also, I never liked the Tomb Raider games, to be honest. At least not the early ones. The remakes were good.
I was never a big fan of them either.
Yeah, they're very hard, and tank controls just suck nuts. Suck nuts. Huh.
What?
Oh, just the fact Lara Croft is the world's most iconic video game character. Angelina Jolie probably likes that. She's probably all sorts of excited now. I got to play the most iconic video game character of all time.
Badly.
Was she bad in that movie?
It wasn't her. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault. It was the writing's fault. And I understand. Like, look, I get it. It was a video game action movie about Lara Croft. Like
Back when nobody took those seriously in the
right. So I mean, I give props to them. Kind of, whatever. But this sums up my feelings about Lara Croft and like the fucking how they did it. Like they invade her home. She's for some reason jumping around with wires and stuff, practicing something for something. And all these Marines, or they're not Marines, but like these people come in her home and they're shooting machine guns at her as she's flying around. She proceeds to unload her guns because she has guns on her because she does. And can't seem to hit any of them. And she's supposed to be this awesome person. And she does get a few of them. And then let me fast forward to my point. She gets on a motorcycle. And then she tries to go to the weapons locker, and she tries to shoot the weapons locker that's literally in front of her. It is right. I mean, she could reach out and just calmly just touch it, and like she unloads her machine gun at the lock and misses like almost all of them until finally like one stray bullet happens again. Like you're supposed to be.
Is it one of those where it does a close up and like the bullets are going in a big circle?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The lock, and then finally
big,
hits
dramatic,
in the middle.
slow mo.
Yeah. Pat.
Oh my god! It just
because also it's just like, hey, watch me waste bullets in a very important time to not waste bullets.
Yeah, and also she's shooting other guys and just emptying clips at these people, and it's all just every single one of them is the miracle from Pulp Fiction. It's just they're just standing there, the bullets are going around them. It's like I get it, This is not a rated R movie. I understand. Then do something else.
Right.
If you can't show her unloading to these people with RoboCop level violence and brains playing
Say
everywhere.
she has rubber bullets and just don't show blood when people get shot.
Even that, like rubber bullets, it still knock them down. You're absolutely right. Like
then they can hit the ground and scream and go, "Oh God, ow!" Then you can at least be like, okay, because getting shot by a rubber bullet sucks nuts, from what I hear. I mean,
it's pretty bad. You can still die from a rubber bullet.
Oh yeah. Have you been shot by a rubber bullet?
No, God, no.
Oh, okay.
I like
the way you said, "Oh yeah," makes you sound like
no. Oh yeah, man. I just saying like in terms of from what I've seen, like still the limited research I've done. There's like oh yeah, rubber bullet, and like then I think I read no, it's not particularly with the riots they happen or like the BLM riots stuff like that. It just like rubber bullets, and that's when I was like, oh yeah, it sounds fun, but it is not.
Rubber bullets? Wow, that sounds like something a clown would shoot. Honk, honk. The bullets just hit you and they honk like a rubber nose. Thinking, rubber bullets sound awesome.
We love rubber bullets.
Yay, rubber bullets for kids of all ages. Rubber bullets. That's what we could do for like Nerf for one step up, Nerf rubber bullet guns.
Sorry, I'm just thinking ridiculous things, just like
I was trying to
gum stuck in my clothes, but thanks to rubber bullets, I'm all good.
Gun stuck in my clothes. Yay for rubber bullets. Kind of sounds like almost a Ren and Stimpy sort of bit. Rubber
Jenny
bullets
hates Ren and Stimpy.
Is it because of John Crickfalusi?
No, she just hated like the animation style.
Oh, gotcha.
It made her feel weird, and
gotcha.
I get that. I respect it. I'm not going to mock her for that. It's definitely not for everybody. I loved it. We were watching some clip the other day about it, and she's like, "See, it's just so uncomfortable." I'm like, "It's hilarious."
Huh.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I can't remember what we were with like some TikTok about them, like how disturbing their stuff was, and it's just, I get it. I do understand. I understand that point of view, but I thoroughly enjoyed like Space Madness is still to this day one of the
Some
peak.
of it's slightly more disturbing when you learn about the creator and stuff and the weird stuff he was into, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking purely of the work.
yeah. Well, even some of his work too, where it's like footage of like 12-year-old chicks with big bosoms and stuff like that, or adults who look really young. It's like, ugh.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. You heard about what he was into, didn't you?
Nah, I've heard a little bit, but I'm not
Oh,
that versed in what's going on.
uh, we could do an episode on it. Let's just
Okay.
say yeah. Well, let's just say he did show up to his intern's sweet 16 birthday party with flowers for her.
Yikes.
That's probably the nicest thing I could say about what went on there. So, yeah, maybe we'll do an episode on that, and we can have all sorts of awkward conversation about grooming.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also some like weird clips of him on Howard Stern talking about it and stuff, and Howard Stern being like, "Boy, you're lucky being all around all them young girls." Her. Yeah. Anyways.
I mean, I don't know. I both like and dislike Howard Stern.
Yeah, he's a chode, but sometimes he's entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess Red Stimmy Guy mainly was big for like finding like 14-year-old girls and offering them interns at his place, sort of thing, and then sleepovers and stuff like that.
Ugh, that's so gross.
Yeah, and like I said, there's even worse stuff too, from what I heard. I can look it up and we'll do an episode one of these days.
Oh, and think about like bad things. We were watching Better Off Dead.
Oh yeah.
I was a break, so I get over that. I got real quiet. Open my can. Okay.
Yeah, I heard that break. I heard that.
Yeah, I was like, and
Coach.
And scene. Okay. Anyway, we were watching Better Off Dead, which, by the way, is pretty fucked up looking at back nowadays. Like,
I always like it because it's like one of the more darker movies. Because doesn't he want to kill himself at one point?
Legit tries to kill himself like 3 or 4 times, and no one cares. No, at one point, like he's trying to hang himself, and his mom like backs through the door and knocks him off. He's dangling there, hung, and his mom doesn't even like glance at him.
Yep, he just like grabs his laundry and then like heads back out, if I recall.
But I thought of it though. It's like the movie makes a lot more sense if you change the narrative to the entire movie is through his eyes, like his point of view. He's the narrator, so all these crazy things that keep on happening make sense in the context of this is happening in his like twisted mind. That's why these things that are just really odd would make more sense. Like that kid chasing after him the $2, and that one of the weirdest scenes in that movie I'd never noticed before. But he was in a math class, and the math teacher is what they're talking, and his entire class acted like they were a part of a cult, like they were hanging on this math teacher's every word. And he like, hey, bring out your go ahead and take out your studies or whatever. And everyone whips out these like huge books that like all annotated, and one guy busts out a computer, and meanwhile John Cusack pulls out one crinkled piece of paper with some gum on it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it does actually make more sense if you phrase it like that kind of thing.
But anyway, the reason why I started going down that train was you remember that movie? So the foreign exchange student comes over and stays with the mom and her creepy kid.
Yeah.
That creepy kid is the Nickelodeon guy.
The Dan Schneider dude?
Yeah.
Oh. Huh.
He was the creepy neighbor, the fat creepy neighbor who was kept on like perving on the French lady. Yeah, that was him.
I didn't know he ever acted in anything. I always just assumed he was like behind the scenes guy. Huh.
Yeah, no, I mean, let me double check and make sure it's like, because I know for a fact he was a Nickelodeon guy. I looked it up while we were watching the movie.
Yeah,
but the name sounds right. I just want yeah. It turns out no, it was I don't know, Greg Nicholson.
Yeah, when I saw the Nickelodeon logo change to a foot, I thought that was kind of weird back in the day. Like, why a foot? That seems odd.
Yep, that's not her. Yep,
Yep.
But yeah, we're slowly having our kids see all the 80s movies, and we're just like, some of them are just like, wow.
Huh.
Oi.
They just look at it like, Dad, why was it okay for them to talk about this stuff? Dad,
well, one thing I will say though is Jenny does have a little bit of a little too prudish sometimes. She's like, oh, I can't believe they'll like mention sex. I'm like, Jenny, they have YouTube. Like,
right.
I promise you, they seen worse.
Yeah.
So this like little scene where it's a little inappropriate, or it's whatever. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't fly nowadays. Like, you definitely wouldn't see a movie with it people saying some of the things they say or do as the 90s movies. And sometimes those 80s, 90s movies are straight up rape. But
yes, they are. Revenge of the Nerds and
that was just that. Yeah, exactly. Revenge of the Nerds. Just like, they do terrible things. And even speaking of Revenge of the Nerds, the one gross guy from Revenge of the Nerds is on Better Off Dead.
Dan Schneider was also on Head of the Class. Remember that show back in the day?
The Class?
Head of the Class.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
What was that?
It took place in a school. It had the one teacher.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. It initially started out with...
It was a police procedural. Oh, sorry. Head of the Class.
Yeah, it originally had Howard Hessman as the teacher, but then some British dude took over, or Scottish dude later on.
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah, I'm just like, I know that sounds familiar, but it was not one of the shows I watched regularly.
It wasn't that great.
Of this. I've seen clips, I've never really like watched it with any regularity.
I learned from Head of the Class is that if you take too many vitamins, your hair might start to fall out and it might get misdiagnosed as leprosy. So there you go.
Leprosy.
It was an episode where like the Scottish teacher, he's like running his fingers through his hair, and like this big clump comes out. He's like, "Oh my god!" And they immediately like grab like a science book or something. They look at him like, it could be leprosy, dun dun dun. And then turns out he was just eating Flintstones chewable vitamins like candy all throughout the day, and apparently the vitamins were messing with his hair. So there you go. Don't eat Flintstones chewable vitamins like candy all day. Yeah, I know they
kill that kid. Who said leprosy? No, you lose your right to life.
I know it sounds bad, but it's no different than WebMD telling you everything is cancer. I was
fair enough.
It's cancer. My head hurts. It's cancer.
I do hate that.
I stubbed my toe. Could be cancer
or a heart attack. Jenny's like, I'm, she was freaking out about something. It's like something like, oh, I feel the weird thing here. It's like, it's not a heart attack. I don't know. It said,
it could be a heart attack.
Well, the worst is when these articles come out and they're like, oh, this woman only had one symptom and she caught her aggressive heart attack in the form of cancer. It's like, and then
this woman only had one symptom before she died. What'd she die of? Car crash. She's like, well, what?
The one symptom, that I don't know, that beam that went through her fucking face. That was the one symptom that took her out. Natural causes.
She died from narcolepsy. How'd that work out? She was driving.
But yeah, Jay's just like, oh my god, I have this twinge right here, and I just read this article on Facebook where this woman said she had a twinge, and the next thing you know, she had cancer of the everything.
Literally, she just turned into a giant cancer cell. Just was going around. Like, she turned into cancer
between
itself.
Her and the rest of the cancer, just nothing.
She just turned into cancer, and then she was like chasing after her family. I would infect you.
So yeah,
So yeah, 80s movie, problematic. I also thought it was weird back then how much they talked about kids' virginities back in those movies.
Right? Like,
some of it's caused like, ooh, you're a virgin. You don't want to die a virgin. Ooh, that's a virgin. Yeah, it's like, what the hell?
Like, you guys are really invested.
Yeah, sometimes it's fun to watch like Gen Z kids react to like stuff from our childhood. Sometimes they watch stuff and it's like, why are they obsessed with kids' virginities back then, people? What's wrong with you people? I'm like, we don't know. Yeah, sometimes when they're watching it, they're like, is this normal? It's like, well, it felt normal back then, but yeah, looking back, no.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it.
Yeah, it's like, didn't seem that. Well, the virginity thing kind of seemed weird to me at the time a little bit, just how often it got brought up. Fuck.
Oh yeah.
Especially that one movie. Not The Witches of Eastwick, but fucking Hocus Pocus.
Oh,
that
God.
Movie.
Yeah, we watched that recently too. It was like, the virgin of a child. We must get a child virgin. I'm like, hopefully,
yeah,
being
right.
a child, they would be a virgin.
Right. Well, maybe they just wound up in Diddlekid, Massachusetts, where no kid is a virgin past the age of 3.
We don't want any kid touched by a pedophile.
Yeah.
Well, that's a third of the population off the board.
Yes. Diddlekid, Massachusetts.
Trauma.
Childhood trauma. It never goes away. I was just looking at the stuff for Better Off Dead. trying to figure out if Booger is still alive. He is, and he's 70.
Yeah, he had a pretty big part in Supernatural.
I've never seen that. I know it's really good, and I probably should see it, but it's not going to happen. Let's be. There's a lot of movies I really need to go see, but I don't know if I ever will.
Well, movies are easier, versus like, oh, have you seen this TV series that's 10 years in? That's right. A little bit more of an ask.
You should sit down and marathon One Piece one of these days. It won't take long. You're like, what?
Yeah, there was a guy I worked with. He had a One Piece like pullover on. I kind of mentioned, I'll admit I'm a little curious, but I'm never going to because I just can't dedicate that much time. He just went COVID lockdown. Like I was like, oh, okay, that's good. But then in my head, I'm like, this kid's like, when COVID hit, he was in high school, and so I'm just like, yeah, man, you were a high school kid. I was still working.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel cheated because everybody's like, oh, all this stuff with COVID. My life did not change one bit during COVID. I went to work every day just like normal. Everybody's life-changing moments didn't do anything to me.
Yeah, I mean, I went from working from an office to working from home and never went back until,
Yeah, so if anything, it improved your life, possibly.
Oh, it absolutely did. Like,
I don't have to drive anywhere. Fuck yeah. We need more plagues.
I'll tell you what, man, it really does. It's like, I keep on feeling bad because a lot of people suffered, but I mean that lockdown was one of the best times. Just it really was.
The time of the world the introverts reigned.
Right. Well, we were also just saving so much money. Like
that's true.
That's one of the things that we struggle with. Is just like we're spending.
What we need is another outbreak.
To go places and do things. And it's like
we need an outbreak of leprosy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the next. Yeah, the next thing that sweeps through, I don't know. Then again, you don't want that to happen because it's like, yeah, I want a bunch of people to die so I can be better off financially.
Hey, maybe it'll be an illness that gives people superpowers. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be cool. It could happen. It's unlikely, but it could happen.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
be like the X-Men, except for it's transmissible instead of just born with it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Mutant superpowers is an STD. Oh yeah, how many episodes of X-Men are coming out? Because I figure we could talk about that halfway through if you would like.
Well, because I've caught up. I'm to the point where they are now.
Yeah, me too. So I just want to see how many episodes are going to be total. 10 episodes. Currently 4 have been released.
And like I was saying last night, Storm's like, "Oh, get off me! I can't believe you did this." It's like, listen, he didn't say he made that one thing. He said he was, bamboozled. To make a prototype. He made the prototype that somebody else did something with it. Somebody else did something with it. Somebody else made that gun that gave to somebody else. I mean, yeah, so I admit, like he probably should have done that. Yeah, he probably should have a little bit smarter, but he didn't oh, I'm gonna make this gun, so I'm gonna take away this bitch's powers.
That'd be like me writing an angry letter to Henry Ford over being like, somebody I know got hit by one of your cars.
I will say though, I would have saved it till after I had helped her. He's like, he's like, oh yeah, I love you. By the way, I did this to you, but I still love you.
Yeah, he could have picked a better time or something.
And they were a little bit too blasé about what happened with Phoenix or Jean Grey. Like,
oh yeah, that godlike power that they're just like, oh yeah, that's a footnote that happened.
Godlike power. Well, it's like she's a clone. They openly say they didn't know when she was cloned. And so Jean Grey just kind of took her memories and kind of pieced it together, but with the full knowledge, that wasn't all her memories of the clone. So, and then they took the kid. That still wasn't Jean Grey's kid. That was the clone's kid.
But I mean, technically the genetics are the same. So
therefore, well, no, the genetics are the same, but it would be, I don't know.
I don't know. No, I get what you're saying. I'm just being difficult.
And then they're like, we don't know who even married Scott. So it's like, what? Are we not going to address this? Are we just going to say, "Oh yeah, the clone just left, and so she's just going to be gone now, and we're going to keep on rolling with Jean Grey like nothing happened"? I'm like, right.
I also like that too, where Scott Summers is like, or Cyclops is like, "I will not abandon them. You don't know what it's like to be abandoned. I will never abandon anybody." And then all of a sudden, he just abandons his clone wife.
It's like, well, bye.
Yeah, he's like,
and then she's like,
you're just close.
Back me up, Scott. He's like,
right. It's like, wow, for somebody who'll never abandon somebody, you sure abandon them in a hurry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
it's
the
like,
drop of a hat.
right,
There is
I
like
mean,
no discussion. She
yeah,
goes, oh, hey, this says you're a clone. She's like, no. Scott's like, oh, dude, this is a little bit too heavy for me. I love.
yeah, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this. This is kind of emotions I don't know how to handle. That's more of a havoc kind of thing. He handles the emotions.
Remember we were bitching maybe the dishes the other day? Well, now's
Yeah,
the time where I say,
right.
no.
And then from Clone Jean Grey's perspective, if I got that kind of reaction, I'd probably want to turn into a bad guy too. Oh, y'all just shun me now instantly? Well, fine, F you. I'm taking the kid and gonna go do evil stuff. And also, the first episode did something, and this isn't just to this series alone. It tends to happen a lot in X-Men cartoons and stuff. The fact that they always hype up Sentinels as these great, all-powerful mutant killing machines, and then as soon as they show up, they're like, "Oh, beware the Sentinel!" And Cyclops is just like, "Meow! Ooh, look, it's dead. Took me half a eye beam to kill it." I don't know.
I
With
mean,
all the hype they do of Sentinels, they sure go down easy.
well, they go down easy, and then they're like, "Oh, this is a save humanity." Like, they're giant warbots. Like, save humanity from who? Like, I would think these giant nasty robots are a lot bigger threat than the mutants ever could be. And then
Right?
the one time whenever they start like winning against the mutants, it's like a master meld or whatever. It's like, oh no, they're overwhelming us. I'm like, this is why zombies are dangerous, because it's not the one zombie, it's the million zombies. And so
Yeah.
you're sitting here trying to say these giant sentinels, you could have saved all that time and effort and made them smaller, like human
Right.
size, and then you use the same amount of like materials and then you flood them. I mean, but I guess they're not big, scary, whatever machines.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and where does all the financing come to make these? Because those things aren't cheap. They got to be millions of bucks each to build for something that gets taken down by, Wolverine's claws in half a minute.
And I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the Wolverine representation.
Kind of a whiny bitch for being an old, mature man in theory. He just kind of comes across as, I don't know. Yeah.
He's kind of petulant. He's like,
he is.
Oh, gee, you know how I feel about you? That she's like, oh, Scott. He's like, oh, like, come on. And then I don't know. He just, why is he hanging around? Simp. And he's just being there, he's just being a little whiny bitch. And so I saw someone commenting about that, and they're like, oh, Wolverine's always been like that. I'm like, I disagree. This seems to be.
I don't know. Not always been kind of like this. He is kind of
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't necessarily. He doesn't mean the murdery Wolverine that we're all familiar with in the comics,
like the crotchety Wolverine who just like sitting in a corner drinking and having a cigar kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's what I know more Wolverine for, is just like kind of being the loner who didn't want to be hanging out with the crowd and being liked. He's just kind of I'm just there to be there kind of guy.
Well, there was also that scene where he's like, Jean, look into my mind. She's like, oh. And that's the whole thing. Like, one thing about Wolverine, like this also, him dumbing him down, his mind was too chaotic. Like, they've had times where Jean has tried, or people have tried to go into his head before.
And they're like, his mind is too dark and horrible. All the pain that he has felt through the years, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of
or he's too feral kind of thing. I've also heard that where he's like, his mind is too feral to be able to control, or so on.
Right. And I mean, I'm glad they whipped out Mr. Sinister, but because he is one of my favorite like villains.
They needed to spend more time on that horror reality Goblin Queen thing. They were onto something there, because that was pretty cool. But I don't know. I feel like they just like sped run through that little part of the story.
Why Goblin Queen?
I don't know. That's what she called herself in the comics.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's the
we got to go way back in time for that one. I have no idea why. I mean, Jean Grey.
Goblin Queen. It makes a lot more sense. I can see them. Like, my guess, this took place in like, I don't know, 80s or 90s when this
early 90s. Oh, you didn't read this storyline thing?
Huh?
You didn't read the X-Men around this time?
Well,
I kind of did, because this is actually all like based off the comic stories. So
it depends on when it was, because I got into X-Men after Age of Apocalypse. Like, before then, I didn't get into it much. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I picked up X-Men for a while after that. Then it kind of fell off again, just because it started getting it was too much. Like, there's too many comics coming out. It's too convoluted, and just.
You have to buy Uncanny X-Men, X Factor, X Force, X this, X that, New Mutants in order to get the storylines, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just whenever they're like, oh, hey, here comes Bob. And then there's a little panel that pops up. Remember Bob? He showed up in X-Men 538. He saved a Rogue from a random shuriken that was thrown by Squirrel Girl because she was taking away from a ninja. Like, I don't need all that. Just you're overloading me with information. Please don't give me all that.
Okay, Inferno took place in 1989. That's when I was reading that.
That was
That was when we were about in 5th grade. That tracks because I was about 5th grade when I was reading comics a lot.
I was
like
DC at that time.
Okay.
Because I was collecting comics back then, but it was DC. I didn't really deal with
Yeah,
Marvel.
I was all about the X-Men back then. Although not all my X-Men were like the new stuff. Some of it was like older comics because I used to go to like not dollar stores, but like antique stores a lot. And remember back in the day when they'd have like that big box in the corner of like 10-cent comics that you could buy?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't find those anymore, Nate, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all this story that's going on in X-Men 97 is late 80s ish. So yeah,
It'll make sense because that's their thing. They're picking up.
Yep. And so in case you didn't know, yeah, all the stories going on in X-Men 97 is actually based off of X-Men comics stories. And they're kind of speed running it though. Like the whole like an arc that takes a whole year in the comics, they're doing in like one episode on this, it feels like.
Yeah, like the Master Meld, that seemed like to go real fast. And
yeah,
I was kind of annoyed by that though, because they're like, she's like, oh, I see this vision, and it's a vision that's like, oh, okay, this is the arc. Yeah, this is the arc for the rest of the season. They're gonna go here, which is gonna lead them somewhere else, which is gonna take them somewhere else. They're finally get the Master Mold, and then it's gonna be a big battle. And they're like, nope, this is it.
We wrap it up in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I do feel like, each of these episodes feel like they each could have been like their own 3-episode arc to help flesh stuff out and make it a little more sense. Because a lot of it, I'm enjoying the series so far, but it does feel kind of rushed, and I don't know. It's like we're getting the cliff notes of these stories.
I mean, I do. Yeah, like we were talking off air, and it took me a minute to get into it because I was watching it. It was doing the same old like, oh, hey, here's a new kid. Hey, new kid, here's this person. Oh, and there's this person, and look at Wolverine, who's being a dick for no reason. Like he throws him on the ground and like threatens to chop his face off. It's like, oh, I'm kidding. Like, no, man, this kid was traumatized. He was kidnapped by anti-mutant people. He obviously is a thing because he's not show his mutant powers. He's trying to be aloof, but he's clearly scared. So you're gonna knock this dude down and threaten to cut his face off? Fuck off.
It would be more like just sitting there grunting at the new kid and be like, another one, huh? And then drink his booze.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Like
Wolverine feels too much like a petulant teenager, I guess, in this or something.
He really does.
Yeah, it's for being the oldest and most mature of the group, supposedly, or at least the oldest. That and also Magneto really does look like fucking a daytime soap opera star.
Yeah, he does.
With his nice,
but he's
flowing gray hair.
Like that costume he has. I don't know why he's decided to go with that, disco costume or whatever. But like that is what he was wearing back then. So
yeah,
it's comic accurate.
Yep.
And I will say this though, like the animation looks pretty good. It is really noticeable sometimes that it's all CG.
Yeah.
Like the CG anime. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And like sometimes the way they turn, the way the light hits their character, or the way it's different, it becomes really, really noticeable that these are 3D or CG characters with, they're textured as an animation.
I guess it's still I figured they're more cell shaded, but yeah.
Which again, like a lot of times, if it's done well, I don't mind it. It looks really good. I mean, I've seen a lot of anime. Like they use that in anime a lot.
Chainsaw Man does a really good job with it.
Yeah, it's a varying quality. Like Overlord for the main characters, it is 2D, but sometimes when they do like the big giant battles, they use the CG, and it is painfully noticeable.
Have you seen Chainsaw Man yet?
What?
Have you seen Chainsaw Man yet? The anime Chainsaw
Man. Yes, I know of it. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I haven't actually like sat there and watched it. I have access to it. I have Crunchyroll.
It's also on Hulu.
Is it?
Yeah, it's been on Hulu for like a year now.
I need to log back into it. Like, it logged me out, and I haven't got a chance to get around to logging back in because I hate bothering you about stuff like that. And it's like, and then I only really pull it up when I'm like, oh, what am I looking for? Oh, I really want to see that Shogun show, and I go to try to pull it up. I'm like, oh man, it's log me out. I'm not gonna bother Sean with this right now.
I started watching Shogun. I wanted to get into it, but I don't know. I don't know, man. It's a lot of buildup, and the end of the episode payoffs don't seem worth it, kind of thing.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, hey, this is going to turn into something intense by the end, and then it's just kind of like a little bit of a, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just taking it wrong or something. There are some really cool scenes in it. Like there's a part where like a female ninja assassin gets to go crazy, sneaking around, offing people, very Ghost of Tsushima-y. But yeah, it's just I don't know. And it's a shame because everybody keeps talking about how amazing it is. How it's the next great drama show with all sorts of fun stuff to watch. But yeah, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I want to like this, but I can't. Maybe I'll go watch some more episodes.
I'm being prevented from liking this.
Yeah.
It is a conspiracy.
It is. Somebody is out to get me on this, and I don't know what it is. They're putting something in my drinking water. Huh. A lot of people are comparing X-Men 97 animation to Archer.
I can see that. I mean, with minus the, crude humor. But isn't Archer like actual 2D hand-drawn animation, not like CG?
So?
Well, I'm just saying, like, comparison to... Because again, like I said, that's... I don't know.
Yeah. No. It's a 2D hand-animated show, the X-Men 97, according to the producer of it.
I call shenanigans.
Send you the link that you can...
I believe you. I mean, I believe they said that. I'm just trying to...
Huh, you're like, I believe they said that. I also believe they are lying. Which is true. I mean, sometimes it's like, hey, they did say it, but they were also wrong. No, apparently a lot of people were bitching online about it. So, one of the head guys, where the fuck did that guy Nathan? Oh, there it is. I am happy to clarify this. This is a 2D hand animated show. Our overseas vendor, Studio Mir, they are just that good at, combined in tandem with our in-house animation team, blah, 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 blah.
Yep. I mean, obviously they're saying that, and I don't know. Like, they did a really good job. It just it looks like
it does.
CG.
I mean, yeah. I guess they're saying it is cel shaded, so it might have like a CG filter over it, maybe. I don't know. Or at least I saw somewhere somebody using the term cel shading, but now we know.
No, it's at the battle.
Yeah. Also, Jubilee, useful X-Men member or not?
Right?
I mean, yeah, because I remember in the comic books occasionally she'd do something really badass, but I haven't seen it yet in the cartoons.
I mean, I do appreciate they're doing a Magneto love storyline.
Yeah, with him and Rogue, and then
because he's one of the few people who can actually touch her.
Yeah. Did they explain why he can touch her?
Not really. They had a small hint, like whenever he goes to touch her, there was like a little spark.
Because magnets. Okay, yeah, that's probably you know what I mean.
Well, yeah,
like, reasons. Why can't he touch her? Reasons. We'll think of it later.
Well, per like Age of Apocalypse, because they actually like were married and had a kid. They he has basically he has a shield on him using magnet or whatever. He isn't actually touching her. He's got kind of like a shield condom over his body, if you will, so they can get all
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like she's touching him, but they're not actually touching. But she can't tell the difference.
Gotcha. So he's basically just got on like a bearskin condom all over his body.
That's exactly right.
Can't even notice it. And then poor Gambit's like, I don't even need one of those. Or
poor Gambit. Like they really did like kind of do him dirty.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. He seems, I don't know, not personality-less. I don't know. Something about his personality just doesn't seem as Gambit-y to me.
Yeah, he seems more domesticated.
There we go. That's a good term. He does seem more domesticated. He's not like the wild Cajun that you would think and know and love. Also, fun fact, I used to have the comic book that was like the first appearance of him, worth a ton of money. My cat shredded it and peed on it.
Sucks.
That was fun. Yeah. It wasn't worth money back then. It was, like a brand new
of course
comic,
not. It's not worth it's not worth money when everyone has it.
Yeah. The reason it's worth so much money is because everybody else's cats shredded it and peed on it too. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally why that's worth money. That's why them old video games are worth so much money too, because everybody's like, who's going to want these plastic pieces of crap?
I need to do it. I was going to do it this week, but I didn't. I need to go downstairs and I have this, the closet downstairs, it's just trashed. And a lot of the stuff that's like all over the place is comics. But they're like, the thing is like, oh, I want to see how much this sells for. Like, well, it's not graded or it's a lot of them are in plastic bags, but they're not sealed. So I don't know.
A lot of it is, getting it graded and everything. That costs money.
I mean, I have
and you know how it is, if your comic's not graded and everything, it's like, hey, this comic's worth $200. How much can I get for it? Like 40 probably.
Yeah, I was just talking to a old friend of mine that we happened to run into at the Target yesterday or a few days ago. Not yesterday, but a few days ago, and it's like he collects Transformers and like control characters like that. And he just goes, "Yeah, I have what is supposed to be, they say, are very valuable figures." He's like, "But if no one's gonna buy them off you, then it doesn't matter how valuable the book says they are. It's not worth anything."
Yep. Yeah, if the book says your comic book's worth $1 trillion, that's nice. Nobody's got $1 trillion to buy it.
Right.
Yep. So I'm kind of enjoying X-Men 97. I mean, I'm not like chomping at the bit every week to watch it and super excited, but it's fun to see where it's going.
It is. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I didn't, like I said, I had struggled. I had struggled to sit just because of how cheesy it was.
So many abs. Did you notice in the background so many abs, like stomachs?
All of them?
Oh, all of them. Yeah. I mean, especially like, Gambit with his little cum gutters. With his little half shirt. But no, I feel like everybody's got abs in that series. Bishop, Cyclops. Oh, I do like Cyclops' little using his blast to scoot himself around the battlefield. I feel like that's something I don't remember. I feel like that's something I don't remember from the comics. So,
it's kinetic blast, so they're not lasers; they're kinetic blasts, which a lot of people forget. So he's,
I still don't remember him doing it in the comics. So it's kind of cool that he does it, though. Oh, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, I guess when Gambit hopped on Wolverine and kinetically charged his claws. I guess that is the first. I guess that's the first time it has ever happened in X-Men lore, supposedly.
Huh?
Yeah, you would have thought that would have been something that happened a long, long, long time ago, but apparently not.
I never really was a huge Gambit fan. He was okay. I don't know. It is a bummer they never explored his character like in a movie.
I agree with you. I remember everybody else seemed to really like him, and he was super popular. But I was always just like, he throws playing cards. That's neat, I guess.
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, you can kinetically charge stuff and throw it at you. If you ever wanted to die by a kinetically charged condom. Ah.
My God, it's a kinetically charged condom. Run!
Kinetic rubber.
We have veered way off Dragons Dogma.
We have. Yeah, I'm sure we're pretty much done with Dragons Dogma 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we gave our opinions. It was good. It's worth it. There is a bit of an asterisk behind whether or not you should play it, though, because it is definitely one of those games. Either you're going to really, really like it, or you're going to be like, well, this is a little too obtuse for me.
I am looking for a game, though. I'm looking for another game that could substitute, I love Ghost of Tsushima. I love the multiplayer because we played a lot, and I like the single player because it was awesome. And it's one thing about it, though, is it was one game that you can kind of shut your brain off and just enjoy it. And so I'm looking for a replacement for that game.
Try Horizon Zero Dawn, the new one of those. I mean, that's kind of got the same-ish gameplay. Stealth around, shoot stuff with an arrow. Remember when you get to scan people and pick off body parts off of them and stuff?
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. I mean, honestly, I was starting to play and getting into it until Dragons Dogma 2 showed up and was like, hey, you want to play me? And I was like, not really. He's like, are you sure? And I was like, no, not anymore. He's like, play me. And I was like, okay.
Fine.
This is where the ending jingle goes. This is where the ending jingle goes. I don't know if we need one. I don't know if we'll get one. But if we do, then here is where it goes.